Well, hey guys, welcome to another talking sports video. Something that I just discovered looking on my videos on YouTube, that I only did one of these, and I thought I'd done a couple different videos, or maybe I'd done a vlog, or I counted it as a vlog. I guess in the end it doesn't really matter. This is just some stupid little thing that's been in my brain for a couple of weeks now, and I wanted to talk about it. It has to do with sports. It has to do with basically things like baseball, football, hockey, basketball, the main major sports that we have here in the United States. And it has to do with the championships. And this mainly has to do with a coworker of mine who's big into sports, mainly baseball, our football, and the soccer, the rest of the world's football. But my main point of contention here has to do with, in like baseball and football, and as I said before, the champion. Okay. Here's our point of contention here. I say that at the end of the year, when a team gets to the World Series, the Super Bowl, the Championship Series, or whatever sport it is, whoever wins that is that season's champion. So like, for example, right now the playoffs in baseball are going on. It's probably going to be the Mets against either Kansas City or Toronto in the World Series. And whoever wins the World Series, let's just say, since I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan, so I'm an NL fan mostly, let's say the Mets go and they win the World Series this year. They are the 2015 Major League Baseball champions. Hoopla, fanfare, parade through the city, rings, the whole shebang. And then the season is over and everybody goes home and does whatever they do in the off season until the winter meetings and spring training in February, and all of this stuff starts all over again. But in 2016, the Mets would not be your reigning or current champion. They would be last year's champion, because it's a new season. And the whole fucking point of why everybody plays the game is to be the champion of that year. You start at the beginning, playing your first few games and seeing how the team is going to be, how, like, players that have been traded or players that picked up in spring training, or, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. You see how everything's going to go and how the team is going to mesh, and whether or not they're going to have potential to be in the playoffs and go to the championship at the end of the year. Because it's a brand new season, and that's the whole point of it. You don't have a reigning or current champion. That champion for 2015 is that. Basically, in my mind, in 2016, there is no champion until the end of the year. Because that's the way it fucking works. I'm getting upset just thinking about this again, because I can't believe how obtuse people are about seeing it like this. They're like, oh, no. The Mets are the reigning champions. No, they're not. Now, the best analogy that I can give is, it's not the same thing, obviously, because this is a team sport I'm talking about, and I'm going to use an example from an individual sport, but I like to think about it in terms of boxing. A boxer has bouts, they have fights, they win or they lose, whatever the case may be, but obviously the ones who win more are going to move up the ranks in their weights or classes or divisions or whatever that they do. And eventually they may get a title shot, and if they win the belt, they are now the champion, and they have their belt. Now, when they have that belt, they have to defend that belt. This also applies to wrestling, like professional wrestling, but I didn't really want to throw that in there because it is a scripted thing. But it is along the same lines. But we'll stick to the boxing because it's a legit sport for what it is. But so a boxer has their title. They have to defend that title. It is their title to lose. they can go into a bout and they can get their ass handed to them and they can get knocked out or whatever the case may be, and they can lose that belt and they are no longer the champion. Or they can win and they're still the champion. But in a sport like baseball or football or hockey or basketball, your champion does not have to lose their championship to be dethroned as the so-called champion. Henceforth, the reason why I say they are not the current or reigning champion in this current season. Like if the Mets win or Toronto or Kansas City wins the World Series this year, they're not the reigning champion next year, because at the end of April or May, that team who won the World Series the year before, they could be something like 7-20, and they could be pretty much out of it in the first month. They are not given a guaranteed spot in the playoffs or the championship game just because they won last year. Everything is scrubbed clean and starts over at the beginning of the new season. So there is no reigning champion or current champion. There is only your 2015 champion, your 2014 champion, yada, yada, yada. It's ridiculous to me. It's almost like somebody could say, well, back in 2007, so-and-so won the Super Bowl, but the next year they didn't go, but they didn't lose in the Super Bowl, so technically they're still the fucking champion. No, they're not. Now, maybe I'm getting upset because I work with this guy, and we've talked about this a handful of times over the last year or two, and I'm just like, oh, it makes me pull my hair out because he boasts himself to be super fan, traditional fan, all this and that. He knows everything that there is to know about everything. And because he has this one particular opinion about it, it gets under my skin because I am basically characterizing him as all sports fans. And maybe he's in the minority. Maybe more people feel the way that I do. Maybe they agree with me in that it's a whole brand new thing next season. There is no current or reigning champion. There's just the previous season's champion. But that one main point of mine, the fact that that team does not have to lose the championship to no longer be the champion. They may not even go to the playoffs. That doesn't mean that they're still the champion. That's what takes away the championship, the right for them to come into the next season and be like, hey, we're the champions. No, you may not even make it to the playoffs at the end of the year. It's not a given that you will be there in the championship series, in the playoffs, or the World Series, or the Super Bowl, or basketball championships, hockey championships, and that's why I just can't. I can't even be one of those people who just kind of, okay, whatever. You feel the way you want to feel. No, it's such a cut and dried issue. Next year, whoever wins the World Series is not the champion anymore. Everything starts over, and all the teams work towards the end for the final goal to be the champion of the next season. Otherwise, what would be the incentive for a team to wanna pursue that? Hey, we're already the champion. Why should we have to do anything? And I would never want to see baseball or football or any of those say, well, next year in the championship series or the World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever, the team who wins this last year's championship gets the other slot, and it's just one other team that gets to go to it. I like the way that they start over at the beginning of every year, the way that they hold every season accountable as its own thing, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the year before or the year after. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to say about that. That's just bothering me, and I need to get it off my chest, and I have. So, if anybody watches this, and if anybody cares, if you disagree or agree with me, comment below if you want, but that's just the way that I see it, and I think that this is one of those things where even though it's my opinion, I feel like I have pretty good solid ground to say, no, that's the way that it should be, and that's the way that everybody should look at it. No reigning champions, no current champions. When you're in the middle of a season, there is no champion. That's what everybody's fighting for. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to sit here and repeat myself too much. Thanks for watching, and see you around.